So I think I should probably explain this. So here we are. It's nighttime, and now we are Sonic the Werehog now. Which Sonic transforms into the Werehog because of what Dr. Eggman did to him in like the opening cutscene that you saw. And this gameplay, you know, it's nothing at all like the daytime stages. You're not running through loop-de-loops or anything. You're not homing attacking enemies. You're not, you know, none of that. Instead, it's a beat 'em up platformer kind of thing. Think of it kind of like as like Prince of Persia or God of War. You know, you have a lot of moves and stuff. You unlock more moves as you gain experience and level up and stuff. Here I'm just kind of mashing buttons because, you know, because I gotta say, the gameplay in the Werehog stages doesn't have that much depth. A lot of times you actually can kind of get away with just mashing buttons, as long as you like level up and stuff. You'll pretty much be good. They're really not that hard. I would definitely say the platforming sections in the Werehog stages are much better than the beat 'em up parts. And the Werehog stages also have certain things you can find aside from the sun and moon medals. Actually, in both kinds of stages, actually, not only do they have sun and moon medals, but there's also like books you can find or other things you can find. It's basically like you can find artwork, you can find like music and stuff from this game. This is also in the daytime stages as well. Little bonuses that you can also get besides the sun and moon medals. And now here, if you look to the lower left, you actually have a life bar. When you get hit in these levels, you don't lose your rings like you do in the daytime stages. You lose a chunk of your life bar, and if it goes all the way down, you lose a life. You restore your life meter by collecting rings. And if you see right there, there is an unleash meter as well. You fill that up by defeating enemies, and once it's full, when you press the corresponding button on your system's controller, you can go into unleashed mode, which it's basically like, kind of like a hyper mode sort of thing. You just become really powerful and stuff. You're not invincible, you're just really powerful. And you get that for a few seconds, and then you have to fill it up again if you want to use it again. And Werehog stages, they also have a few puzzles. None of them are really hard. You know, they're really basic puzzles. It's just like push this crate over to push the button on this to make the door open. It's that kind of stuff. And I think that just about covers the basic gameplay of the Werehog. A lot of the reason why it's also inspired by like Prince of Persia is because, you know, when you like jump over here and press the O button or whatever system you're using, you know, there's poles that you can swing on and stuff. That's very Prince of Persia-like. So that's kind of the reason why me and a lot of other people say it takes inspiration from that game. And like I said, although it's a beat 'em up kind of thing, it really doesn't have a lot of depth. So again, right here, I'm just kind of mashing buttons because it doesn't have a lot of depth. It's not that hard. You know, I think, you know, personally, I don't think the Werehog should have been in this game at all. But I also think that even if it was, I think it could have been better. You know, I don't hate these stages. I think they can be fun. But I will agree that you do play as the Werehog way too much in this game. Because the Sonic daytime stages, they only take like 5 minutes to complete or so. The Werehog stages can take like a half an hour, and yeah, that's just way too long in my opinion. You know, combine that with like the hub worlds and a few other things like that we'll see later on in this playthrough. You know, there, I think they should have spent more time focusing on the core Sonic gameplay, which they did do in Colors, and they improved on it as well by adding more platforming segments and stuff, which I'm really thankful for. And it's also why Colors turned out to be a fantastic game. And here I go again. I'm mashing buttons because this is just not that hard. So yeah, there's not much to say about this. So I gotta say these I probably said this before, but these graphics really are really good in this game. You know, I mean, since this game, a lot of the, no, not a lot of, all the stages in this game are, with the exception of one of them, is based on a real world location. Like here, Windmill Isle, this place is actually based off of Greece. You know, so you have like, you know, that kind of architecture and stuff, and it just, in this game, with this graphics engine that they use for this game, it just looks really good. It kind of looks like a postcard to me. So you know, it just looks really good. Because I mean, you know, if you saw like the flowers back there, it just looks really good. It has, you know, it's good colors and all. The only problem is I think the art direction in this game was a bit misguided because, you know, it like I said, it's based on real world locations, which is, I think is fine, but this is Sonic we're talking about. I mean, if you know anything about the older games, you know that the older games, all the levels, they were not realistic at all. It was very surreal. I mean, you had like Green Hill Zone, you had like Flying Battery Zone, or Casino Night Zone, or you had like Hydrocity, you had like Sky Sanctuary or Chemical Plant. You know, they're very surreal, you know, kinds of worlds. And because they were so surreal, they were really colorful and stuff. But in this game, since it's like based on real world locations, it's just, you know, really realistic. And, you know, oh shit, you know, for as beautiful as these graphics are, you know, I think they were a little misguided because all the levels are based on real world locations. But, you know, I'm still fine with that, you know, because the levels are still really fun. But, you know, I mean, thankfully this is like the last game where they did that, because they also did that in Adventure 1 and 2. And I mean, for Sonic Adventure it was fine because that was like a new idea back then, you know, having the levels based on like real world locations and stuff. I mean, for Sonic Adventure, for like a 3D platformer released in 1999, I mean, you know, it was a good idea back then. But I mean, now though, we've kind of seen that a bit too much. I mean, because they also did that with Adventure 2 and Sonic Next Gen. So by the time this came out, it's like, you know, they should have just done something, you know, more original. Which thankfully this is the last Sonic game so far that they've done that. From Colors onward, they've been going back to, you know, the Genesis, you know, the sort of surreal, you know, places and stuff. which is really good, especially with Lost World. Sonic Lost World just looks god beautiful. Really excited for that game, by the way. Oh man. Sorry for the long silence here, by the way. I'm just trying to think of something to talk about. Because I don't have very much to talk about right now. Should probably start speaking now before someone like in a comment or something starts pulling the awkward silence thing. I kind of hate that though. Oh. Oh, I like that little in joke they did. Seaside Parlor, obviously a Seaside Hill reference. In fact, they do a lot of that in this game. Like in Empire City, we'll see later, they have like references to other Sonic characters and stuff. That's pretty good. These levels just go on for so long. Like I said, I don't know. I think... Okay, I think, if I remember correctly, I just started this level in this part, and so far it's like 12 minutes now. Yeah, I gotta say, that's another thing. I mean, like, these levels would have been better if they were, like, a bit shorter, I think. Because, I mean, you know, I don't think the Werehog should have been in the game at all, but if it had to be in the game, you know, they could have at least done better with it. I mean, you know, I don't hate the stages. I mean, I don't hate the gameplay that much. Well, actually, I don't hate it at all. I mean, it's just that, you know, it's a bit forced and, you know, kind of unnecessary. It doesn't ruin the game for me, though. I know this ruins the game for a lot of people, but to me, you know, I still consider this a really good game. It was, to me, it was the start of Sonic getting back on its feet after, you know, Sonic Next Gen, and to a lot of people, Shadow the Hedgehog, even though I personally don't really hate the game that much. I mean, Shadow the Hedgehog, the direction they took with that game, you know, it's questionable, I'll say that. You know, Shadow wielding guns, you know, swearing, you know, all the aliens, all the action, you know, going on, you know, hardcore, with the music and stuff. You know, the really dark, almost, not quite gothic, but almost, you know, really dark approach. You know, it's questionable because, I mean, it's still Sonic related, you know, it's not supposed to be like that, but, you know, I kind of didn't hate it that much because, you know, I mean, I don't think that, I think it was, you know, I will agree, it was unnecessary to have Shadow, you know, packing heat and stuff. But, you know, I didn't hate it that much. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. My biggest problem with Shadow the Hedgehog, well, actually, no, how can I say I don't hate it that much? I actually have not played it. Yeah, I have not played Shadow the Hedgehog. sorry, I probably shouldn't say that I don't hate it that much. I've only, because I mean, I've seen a lot of the levels though, and you know, I've seen the cutscenes and stuff, and you know, the story. Like I said, I enjoyed the canonical story with Shadow the Hedgehog. The thing that, you know, doesn't really look good to me, again, I haven't played it, but what doesn't look good to me is the fact that it's supposed to be like a choose your own adventure thing. You can have Shadow be good, you can have him be evil, you can have him be neutral. And you play the levels in whatever order, depending on what side you're on. So there's like multiple different storylines. There's multiple different paths you can take with the levels and all. And I think there's like 8 endings in the main story. I think. I'm gonna go back to that Moon Meadow. And I just don't like that because it's not like, you know, you have to play, you have to get all the endings to truly 100% the game. And besides that, there is also a last story, so that basically kind of makes all the other endings completely moot, since there's only one ending out of the 9 endings. There's only one that's actually canonical to the story.